Hello,
Michigan.
and welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders. My name is Scott Kerman. We're here Thursday Night Live on The Big, and I'm joined, as usual, by my co-hosts, Russ Stevens on my left, Uncle Joe McLaughlin on my right, and Alan Camo to my far right. Thanks for tuning in. I'm so amped up tonight. I have my Tom Brady jersey on, all ready for the AFC Championship game. But first, we must talk and go back a few days to the division round, the Ravens against the Patriots, a game that I hated so much to watch. I have to admit it. I need your insight. Did you enjoy the game? Obviously, we won. That was great and all, but there was a lot of nervousness, even to the end. The Patriots got behind. Russ, I know you and I were texting.
It was excruciating. It was almost hard. Once they went down, as Alan said earlier, that by 14 in the second half, it became painful.
Because they were down twice by 2 touchdowns, which generally in the playoffs, you don't come back from that. Yeah, defenses are too good, right? Explain to me how a team that has 2-week layoff, okay, is playing at home in front of their own crowd can come out that flat to start the game. Right? Hadn't done that all season. Do you even remember the last time the Patriots looked that bad to start a game, regular season playoffs?
Well, they were on guard.
You know what, though? It comes down to, the real leadership of this team. And now that we're all world-famous sports talk celebrities, I had somebody query me the other day and said, I thought that was Brady's best game. Let me tell you what contributed to them being flat. In the first half, it was Mr. Tom Brady. Number 12, by the way. Let's face it, after the Ravens went down and scored, what do you always want to do in your next offensive possession? You want at least some first downs. You at least want to bring the ball. He missed Amendola short. He overthrew Edelman. And the next series,
the
defense got shredded in that first series.
Like a knife through butter.
They literally made the Baltimore Ravens look like the San Francisco 49ers when Walsh would script the first 30 plays. And it was like watching the Oregon offense. They were getting 10 yards a pop.
Well, Oregon offense not in the championship game,
that's
though.
true. But
Ravens couldn't believe it. They ran 5 plays and
Yeah.
scored a touchdown. They couldn't even believe it. They don't even have that kind of offense. That's not the offense they run. But so what happens? I mean, who's it on?
Defense sets the tone for these teams, especially when you choose to kick the ball off. Then you're depending on your defense, which Belichick did. You're depending on your defense to go out and light some people up and set the tone for the game. Instead, they got shredded. We didn't score. Shredded again.
You got to give credit where it's due because the Ravens had a great little offensive scheme going. That was that misdirection, bootleg pass. I mean, they had, who was it? They had Ninkovic totally.
I know, but I mean, that's going to happen. But you
and
can't
I
get.
could have run those plays.
You can't get behind like that, 14-0, that quickly in an opening game that you've played in the playoffs. There was no excuse for it. Absolutely no excuse. And then they got down again. They got down from
that was even
that
more
time.
stunning.
But give them credit. They did overcome the
No,
deficit.
don't give them any credit, Joe. Seriously, that game, seriously, I know they won and all, but they did not play well. That was painful. Look, you guys had the faithful. You had the faithful there, 68,000 people booing the team on multiple occasions during that game, okay? All right? That was not a good game. That wasn't one of the greatest games of all time. That was a terrible game. Seriously. The Patriots, you said they were cupcakes, right?
Yep.
The Ravens. Well, what happened to your cupcakes?
If the game had gone on another quarter, they'd won by 3 scores. They had their number. By the time halfway through the third quarter, the tide had turned. The momentum was all Patriots. The defense was shutting them down at every turn.
Look,
the
here's the
offense
thing.
was walking down the field.
Belichick got exactly what he wanted out of that game in the end. He got a win, and he got an ability to walk in the next day with his team and say, you guys played like what. Right? The defense laid an egg in that game. They were horrible. That defense looked like every other defense that we've had for the last decade, which is you cannot stop another team when it counts. We lost 2 Super Bowls because of it. We lost AFC Championship games because of it. And that was the same defense that was on the field. That was the eye-opener.
But they did stop them the second half of the third quarter and in the fourth quarter.
Yes, they got turnovers in the second half.
It was 21-3.
They got turnovers.
The way it finished. And if the game had gone on another quarter, it probably.
Joe's wearing rose-colored glasses
No,
tonight,
look,
fellas.
If I'm a teacher,
I
I'm
did
giving out,
guarantee 2 picks.
if I'm a teacher, I'm giving out a lot of F grades, and we were giving out F grades when we were
Okay.
texting each other. Okay,
Yeah,
Belichick.
you were dropping F-bombs.
Absolutely, I was dropping F-bombs. Oh my God, words that my kids had never heard before yet. Seriously,
All the
they were
different
going on, like,
combinations.
Urban Dictionary trying to find out. Seriously, no, it was just painful. I must have lost like 10
Yeah,
pounds
that
watching that game.
yeah.
Seriously, it was so nerve-wracking. But we text back and forth the rest of the night, and you had given Fs to what? Ninkovich?
Yeah,
F?
Ninkovich, Jones,
Revis?
who he bounced back in the second half, was bad. The linebackers, Collins, I guess, supposedly played decent, but no one on that defense should feel great about how
Was
they played. Not
outstanding
a
in
single
all that first
person
half,
Yeah.
on that defense can feel great about how they played the other day.
Absolutely not.
Right?
No.
But the end result in that final pass to LaFell was just Unbelievably,
absolutely. No, Tom Brady played remarkable when you look at his
In the second
statistics.
half.
Ultimately. Yeah,
Yeah.
he played remarkable. But yet, still, no matter what, they came down to a Hail Mary at the end of the game.
Yeah.
A Hail Mary.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the pomp and circumstance of that, we were playing well. We would have
Flacco's got numb, doesn't he?
Right. Oh, absolutely. We could have lost that game even in the last play. So we just need to move on.
Well, we do have to give Allen credit. Last week, he was the one guy saying, be
The
careful of
wind coming from
Baltimore.
behind.
We three
Hail Mary
were thinking we had this thing rationalized
No,
in our head, and
Allen,
Allen was the one
absolutely.
who said,
I
And
had
Joe-
to listen to both sides of the little angel and the devil, and I tried
I'm
to
telling
be
you.
as
And I'm shocked Joe still has a shirt because I thought he would bet it, because he had the Patriots just.
I'm not a betting man,
Yeah, right.
thankfully,
Right.
because they didn't make the. But if the game had gone on another 2 minutes, instead of sitting on the ball, they would have driven down and gotten another touchdown and won by 2 scores.
But wait a minute, though. Let's admit one thing. I don't care if the offensive attack of the Patriots is to throw, and even if the Ravens are letting them have the short outside passes, they still need to be able to do smash mouth running football.
Absolutely.
And it's
Balance.
hurting them.
Well,
That hurt them in the half.
Yeah.
Brady's trying to throw it again down with a little bit of time left. There's a touchdown that could have easily been avoided if he hadn't thrown that interception.
And
They
that's a
would
good.
if they could, but they can't. They don't have the offensive line for
That's
that.
that's what still kind of
well,
gets
it's their
in my
weakness.
craw.
I mean, we can all
Yes.
agree. Let's assume that the defense bounces back. They hadn't performed like that all year. They laid an egg. We'll give
Yeah.
them a mulligan, right?
Yep.
The one potentially chronic issue that we have on this team is an offensive line that can't run block and/or can't protect Brady against big-time rushing teams.
Right.
That's going to be.
Yeah.
Can we all agree that if
Yeah.
they lose, unless there's an injury, the most likely way they lose in either of these next 2 games is the offensive line.
And it's been their Achilles heel in the
Right.
big games over the last.
Yeah, they
half a
lost that
decade.
first Super Bowl to the Giants because the offensive line just disappeared on us.
Yeah,
And
the
that's a good
tackles were.
Yeah, that's a good segue because this week we're playing the Colts, and we ran just up and down the field last
The
time.
one team they were
Demolished.
able
Right.
to run on.
I mean, so this is a team that
Yeah.
if we don't run against the Colts, we can't run against anyone.
That's right.
But now they got a couple guys back. They got the middle linebacker back. They got Chandler Jones's brother back in the middle. They got a couple of more big bodies in there. Last time they were pretty light in the rear end,
I know.
and they were getting pushed around.
Right. But I was hoping and praying to see the Colts.
By the
against
way, that
Patriots.
game was in Indy, remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So we went up and down the field on them in clinical circumstances where they
Yeah, but
play
that's
very,
right.
very
That's-
well.
And
Yeah,
we
right.
didn't have the snap count like we're going
Right.
to have the
So-
snap count here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a layup. This is an absolute layup.
Start
I
knocking-
say this right
find
now
some wood to
live.
knock on.
Should be, it should be,
Live,
it should be.
52 to 23. 52 to 23.
How? All right, so let me ask you a
put it in the
question.
bank.
Give me a scenario in which they can lose.
The
Invent a
Patriots,
scenario
The
in-
Patriots do not. No, there's like a hostage taking. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. I can't even. All right. Here's the scenario. We have to turn
Black
the ball
Sunday.
over. We have to turn
3
the ball
times.
over at least 3 times,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
The Colts do not turn the ball over at all, right?
Andrew Luck runs for 50 yards in key moments.
Yeah,
Breaks
we have, and
containment.
we have at least a key injury, a guy like to Gronk or Revis or something.
Yeah.
Like when Talib got hurt, that kind of
Yeah.
takes the.
And then
out
a couple of
your
bad
cells.
officiating calls.
Bad.
So
Oh,
now you've got your
absolutely.
scenario in your head. That's the scenario in your
Okay,
head.
and if all that happens, we win by 17. Seriously, and I don't usually say that. I'm, Mr.
I know you-
Superstition.
yeah. All right,
There's not
well,
a chance
now
in the
that we-
world. Seriously, that
Alan, now that we have the ultimate jinx around our neck,
Right,
I mean,
I know.
how do the Colts win?
I think it is some combination. Look, here's the thing. You turn the ball over in a playoff game 3-4 times, you're not winning. It doesn't matter
Right,
what
I
kind of team
agree.
you are,
Yeah,
right?
I
You
agree.
give the team 4 possessions, a short field 3 times. They score a couple touchdowns. You could lose. The only way you could see losing this game would be losing the turnover differential by 2 or 3.
By the way, you talk about a short game. You talk about gaining field advantage and so forth. And one of the things I do when I watch these games is I look at the special teams. So I mean, like Ryan Allen, the punter, punted pretty well. But I noticed one of the commentators was saying, "Oh yeah, this strategy of Gostkowski kicking off short is really paying off." And I
The strategy
think
was 14
that's
degrees
not-
out. The ball just
Yeah.
couldn't make it
That's
to the
what
end
I'm
zone.
thinking too. And I think with the warmer weather, he's putting it in
Yeah.
the back of that end
Although,
zone. There's
not
no
for
run
nothing,
backs.
we put 2 balls in the ground that we recovered last week. And had we not
Oh, I
recovered
know
both of
it.
those, we may
And,
not have
and they
won
had
that
no
game.
business recovering either one.
So
They
that's
Yes,
how
I
close it is
agree.
on the turnover thing. That's
Yeah,
how
but we
close
don't-
it is.
When LaFell had fumbled a couple of weeks ago, that was the first time
Yeah.
a Patriot, other than Tom Brady, had fumbled
Yeah.
all season.
That's true.
So I don't think that's going to happen
We
again
hope
this
not.
week. Is there one matchup, Patriots versus Colts, defense, offense, special teams, that you would give the check the box on the Colts?
Well, the tight end versus anybody on the Patriots. Fleener and Allen. We can't cover tight ends.
Oh, cover tight ends.
Right,
but
we can't
I mean,
cover tight ends.
Fleener against a guy named Gronk.
But they don't play
Yeah.
against each other.
No,
It's
but
a Fleener. I mean, you got to give the tight end could hurt us.
But I think that the Patriots, what we were talking about off the air, I think the Patriots let the tight ends kind of run wild, knowing they're not going to
Yeah.
run for 50 yards at a clip.
Yeah.
So let them kind of go inch up the field, and then we'll get tight on the red zone, and we'll
So-
give field
They'll make
goals
him
out.
go up the field the hard way.
That's why they seem to ignore almost the tight ends, because the tight ends have lit us up all season.
Yeah. Now, I got a question for you guys. Was Danny Amendola a flash in the pan the other day, or do we look for him to continue?
No,
his-
it's just a matter of the Ravens playing good defense and taking away
everyone
option
else?
1, 2,
'Cause
3, and 4.
we don't win that game without Amendola.
Oh, no.
We
right.
had
I'm
option
with you,
5,
too.
and he was able to come through for us.
Okay, has Amendola saved himself for next
No.
year? He's got a bloated contract. I think he actually makes more than Gronk,
No,
maybe,
he's,
right?
He's gone. He'll
He's
make
gone.
someone will pay. What he's doing is he's driving up his value for someone somewhere else.
But he's a very important key moving forward, because he's that other option that we
You've
didn't
been
look
saying
like
that
we
for
had.
weeks,
Yeah.
and you've been asking for weeks, and it's turned out that it's Amendola.
Someone needed to step up, right?
And for 5 years, we all been saying, when is Edelman going to throw that pass?
Oh, my
and
gosh.
We'd all forgotten he was going to do it.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
Came
they
out of
picked
nowhere.
a nice time. The funny thing is I don't know if you remember, I think it was against Buffalo, the Patriot offense ran a couple end arounds. I think
Yeah.
they had LaFell
Yeah.
doing an end around. It was pseudo-successful. I thought they're going to do that same play with the Edelman pass, but on an end around.
Yeah.
Because
He's
you
run
know,
the
you
end
got to.
around
Yeah.
quite a few times.
But we
That's
need to
right.
talk. So we need to talk about the formation that they created, where they had,
Oh, yeah,
which
the
is.
substitutes.
pulled out all the
What do you
tricks.
call it? Ineligible receivers.
But now
and
they're
everything?
they're actually going further in the week, that the ineligible receiver can then take a step back,
Yes.
and he can catch
Yeah,
a
that's
pass.
why the guy had to
back
come
level.
up and
Yeah.
cover Vereen. Because you would have thought that what they could do is say, all right, just ignore Vereen, cover Hooman. But the fact is, Vereen can go get himself a lateral.
Lateral, a backwards.
Right.
And either
that was
run or
good to
pass
see
it.
Humano Wanui catch a few passes because he's, you don't expect him to go out on a route.
No.
But is
So that's
Belichick
good.
just smarter, truly smarter than
Oh,
all the
yeah,
others?
no,
I mean,
they
like-
Well,
had
no, he
Shaq.
took it right from his buddy Nick Saban.
Yeah, but
he
he-
used it all year.
Yeah.
But
he's smarter than the average coach.
But
I don't know if there's
apparently
any
now
question
you
about
can
that.
actually
He's
have.
more willing to do new things, too.
But you can make every guy.
He's much more dynamic than most. NFL coaches are so conservative and so stodgy
Right.
that Belichick actually is a normal human being and will try new things and do new things.
Right. Well, I don't know if he's a normal human
Yeah, I
being.
was going to
Yeah.
question
He's a bit
that, too.
robotic. I'll give you
Just-
that.
that's
I'm not
even-
sure about that.
All right, so let's go to the predictions. Alan, what's the final score of the AFC Championship
I
game?
like the 8-point spread, and it's a comfortable 8 spread with the points coming from Indianapolis are at the end of garbage time. It
Okay.
does not impact the game.
So, all right, so Patriots
Yeah.
win, and you,
I'll
Joe?
go along with Al. It
okay,
sounds
Uncle
good to
Joe
me.
saying,
All
Russ.
his reasoning is perfect.
Closer first half than we think. They pull away in the third quarter. May turn into sort of a blowout in the end, but it could be tight in the first half.
Okay,
That's
I don't
been-
want
that's
tight.
been
I
the
don't, no,
remote.
I don't want tight
Yeah.
even for
You
We're a
five
second
minutes.
half
No,
team.
no, I've
We're
had
a
enough.
second half
Yeah.
team.
I'll start smoking cigarettes. I know it. I seriously can't take it anymore. I'm all set for the Super Bowl, and then all right, so we need to talk about.
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk about the pressure and everything. One thing I do not do during a football game is I never have an alcoholic drink or imbibe in anything like that. But let me tell you something, and I didn't pull a Giselle either on this game.
Yeah, drinking wine. We'll talk about that at some
As soon as
point, yeah.
that batted away Hail Mary, and I saw no flag or
You went
penalty,
for the
everything was
scotch?
good.
Yeah.
That 15-year-old scotch,
Yeah,
Bill,
yeah,
thank you
that's
so
right.
much. Never tasted so good.
All right, so now.
I go for the 20-year-old Hennessy.
Whoa,
All right,
excuse me.
okay, it's a drinking party, guys. All right, that's
Well,
it.
well-
That's what we enjoy.
Oh, you just mentioned the name. You can't mention labels.
Oh,
That-
right.
no, no, you're
all
gonna get
right,
food.
so we got.
Harry Hennessy gave it to me.
So the Packers, Seattle. All right, who's going to win? This is going to be our next true opponent. It's called the Super Bowl.
Here's
So
what
who do we want?
I'm going to predict an upset. I'm going to predict that Green Bay goes in there and beats them. I didn't think Seattle was particularly. I don't think they played very well against Carolina. Did you see anything in that Carolina game that made you
They
think?
haven't been
Pick
facing the
six was
stiffest
pretty
of
impressive.
competition in the last, say, 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
They might be ripe. You might be.
I
Yeah,
didn't see
they
it.
might
I
be
didn't see the
soft.
same team that from a month ago. A month ago, I would have said no one beats Seattle,
It was
including
steamroller.
us, even our best game. But that game against Carolina, they had everything going for them at home, and I thought Carolina played them pretty tough.
And they played like down the stretch. They were playing like Arizona twice. That had
Yeah.
no quarterback.
Yeah. I think Rodgers. You might see Rodgers go in there and start to try to light some things up.
It would be fun.
It'd be a great story with
It's
that
going to
bad,
be fun
bad
either
leg.
way.
Yeah.
Packers is going to be a great storyline, and of course we need to avenge the loss in 1996. I was
That's all
actually at
true.
that
That's
Super
right.
Bowl, and then with Pete Carroll, the Seattle, and that
There's
was
all
just
sorts of storylines.
Too much fun.
Yeah, all sorts
He's
of
pumped and
storylines.
jacked.
It would be
as
the
you said,
Beast
yeah.
against Gronk.
But actually,
Gronk versus the Beast.
right?
Yeah.
Should Pete Carroll have been fired? I know this is just going back, just something quick. I mean,
Yes, he
actually,
should have been.
He should have been fired. All right.
I
so-
was a Pete Carroll man
Yeah.
Yeah.
through and through, but I had to admit they were steadily going downhill.
He didn't have
12
control
and
over that
4,
team. He didn't have
11 and
control over
5,
that team.
Okay.
10 and 6. It was just a steady downhill.
Because when you look
progression.
at his record as a Patriots coach, it's pretty good.
He had a winning record, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so-
the trend line was down.
So what's
Yeah.
your prediction for the Green Bay?
No, I think
Seattle?
Seattle's winning, and I think the Patriots are going to have great trouble against Seattle because I think they're very fast. But I do not worry about Marshawn Lynch. We've played Lynch before. He was a Bill, and we never had problems with him when he played the Bills. We always do well against kind of big, slow,
Yeah. No, we
lumbering
do.
running backs. We never have problems with those kind of guys. So that doesn't
Fred
scare
Jackson, we
me.
have
But
problems with.
the quarterback scares me a lot.
Yes.
I don't like running quarterbacks
yeah,
because they're the
Wilson's
great
a hell of a
equalizers.
player.
We do a great job defending for 6-7 seconds, and then he takes
No,
off.
he's a great
And
player.
we don't do well against that. So I'm rooting for the Packers. I think we have a better chance against a subpar defense, which is the Packers.
Yes.
So who do you think's going to win? Seattle?
No, I think Seattle's going to win.
And what,
yeah.
what do you think?
I think Seattle's going to win.
I'm with
but
Seattle,
I'm rooting
too.
for
Upset.
Green Bay. Give us
Upset
another
special.
crack at them. We lost to them earlier this year. Give us another crack.
So now, Russ, obviously we're going to be very excited when we're in the Super Bowl. So, and Russ has a thought that I want to, to follow
Yeah,
up
so-
on. Go ahead, Russ.
So
yeah.
if you had a choice between, and you had to choose, they win the Super Bowl this year, and they stink for the next 5 years, and they stink. Brady and Belichick decide they're going to hit the road, and they are not going to they're not going to sniff the playoffs for the next 5 years if they win this year, or the opposite. Where
Go to
there's no
AFC
guarantee,
championship every
right?
year.
Yeah,
Competitive
where
and
with
stuff,
status quo, what would you do?
I take the glory of the championship.
take
I
you
like
take
the
the Super Bowl.
championship.
I'd take glory also because I think this is their last shot.
No.
This year's their last
No,
shot.
that's not the question.
But
though.
I
it's
know,
a,
no,
it's a,
but
it's a
okay,
legitimate.
all
It's a
right.
legitimate.
The
It can
window
factor
is
it in.
closing.
Yeah.
Oh no, I definitely take the next 5 years. No,
Yeah.
I cannot take bad teams.
Yeah.
I can't take the Celtics this year. I couldn't
Celtics
take the Red Sox last
last
year.
year.
It's too painful.
Yeah, I thought last year I would have answered it. Give me the Super Bowl in the 5 years of suckitude. But after going through that Red Sox, I thought I was a better man. I thought I could.
Well, it
go
was
through-
2 out of 3
I thought I
years,
could go
yeah.
through a full baseball season where they were developing, and I can't do it.
No.
I can't do it. And none of us remember when it's hard to remember when the Patriots were bad year after year. And every football game we've played for, what, 12 years has been meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every game.
Going back, and remember, Parcells was the coach before that. And Carroll. And the only bad year they've had was the first year under Belichick in the last 20, the 5-11.
Yeah, and I know, guys.
You're going back to, they were in the Super Bowl in what, was it 96?
96.
Look, guys, sports is very important to us, obviously. It's very, very important to us. But don't lose sight, well, I kind of do lose sight, that it's for entertainment purposes only. So you're going to tell me that I'm not going to be entertained for the next 5 years?
Yeah, and just imagine what game.
Okay, yeah,
just
I'll
imagine
take
what
that
game
argument.
9. Just
Yeah.
imagine what game 9 would be like when you're 2-6 to start the year.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. What are you going to do?
Go rake the leaves.
You go rake the
Right.
leaves.
And
I
remember,
want to do that.
Remember, after the Super Bowl,
Depends who they're playing. Playing pushover, I'll watch it.
when
Oh,
the Patriots win or lose in the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
they're not playing another game then. We don't get any more games. And that's the sad part of, right, when the season ends is they don't play any more games.
No more Pro Bowl the next week.
Yeah, so I love all this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
This is
horrible.
great.
It is a horrible winter already. You know, weather-wise, it's going to be a horrible winter, and we got another week,
Maybe
right?
3 weeks.
We might have 3 more weeks.
Right.
That
Yeah,
gets
it's
us through.
But pitches and catches in only another month.
Yeah.
And the Red Sox
Nah.
could stink, but that's for another reason. All right, so now we're all set with the Patriots, right? We're feeling good, okay.
I
And next
agree.
week will be
I
kind of a
agree.
celebration week, and apparently there's going to be alcohol served. So make sure to tune in. So let's go to the Celtics quickly. My question is, how many players do the Celtics have that they can trade?
I think
One or
there's-
two of those guys
I
a day.
still think there's 2 or 3 guys left that Danny will
Are you
trade.
serious?
And
You really
whoever
think
they
they're
get
doing
in
that much?
return,
this
they'll
is
trade them.
This is a race to the bottom for
Yeah.
Danny at this point. It's a race to the bottom.
What do you? I mean, it's weird, right? I mean, this
Yeah.
every day they trade somebody.
Well, they're selling a lot of programs because even the season
Yeah,
ticket
that's a good
holders
point.
don't know who's going to show up night
That's a
to night.
great point.
Joe, you've been watching since the '60s. Do you ever remember such a turnover
No,
of
no.
players
No,
in such
not
a
on
short
any
period?
team. Not on any team in any sport.
Yeah, they flicked the switch clearly.
Yeah.
They flicked the switch and said, "We're done."
I mean, traded Danny has become super traded
Yeah.
Danny.
And are we supposed to really get excited about second-round picks that we're acquiring?
No.
I looked,
Yeah.
and thank God for the internet. I looked on the internet yesterday, and in the last 27 years, we've had one second-round pick. That's Ryan Gomes, who turned out to be any kind of
Yeah.
NBA player.
they're roster filler. You know, a lot of these
Yeah.
guys make the rosters. You pay them a little bit of money. You don't have to pay them any more than the base minimum.
So what are we getting excited about that for? What do we care about second-round
What he'll
picks?
start to do, what he should start to do, is start to trade multiple picks or players with picks to
I think
move
they
up to try to
potentially
get.
have 11 first-round picks
Yeah.
in the next.
He'll be.
5
You know what?
years.
We got to give him about 6 months here. Give him 6 months
We
to
got
figure it
at
out.
least to the draft.
Yeah.
Fab
If he
Melo.
does not, if he doesn't do something by, in July, whenever the draft is, if he
But who
doesn't do
else?
something by the draft, then we'll know we're in trouble.
I mean, does this excite the masses, though? I mean, this really.
No,
I
it doesn't.
Mean,
No.
If you're a season ticket holder, I mean, how many season ticket holders are going to be there next year? 12? I mean,
But it makes it suspenseful. What's he going to do next?
Yeah.
I mean, how many more players does he have left to be able to trade?
Yeah.
I mean,
Bass.
maybe Bass. I mean, I think they've been Thornton, but otherwise, that's it, right?
Yeah.
I
We got Shavlik Randolph back.
Yeah.
We did.
I tell you, we did.
Yeah. In this trade, we got Shavlik Randolph
I
back.
thought you were joking.
No, I didn't even remember when he was here, but apparently we got him back.
no,
They still kept his locker.
Another guy who needs to go, and he's just so out of shape and so terrible is Solinger. I've had enough of him already.
Really?
Oh my God!
He's the star now. The other night I'm watching the game. You know how they saved the Paul Pierce for the last. They
Yeah.
introduced the rest of the team and now it's Sullinger.
Oh, you've got to be kidding!
Well,
How
I
would
wouldn't be
they
surprised.
handle
I
it?
think
Oh,
I think the kind of trade you'll see Danny do would be Solinger plus one of those picks for another young up and coming player.
Big man.
Right.
You could see him start because Solinger has some value around the league. You put him together with a pick, and now all of a sudden you've got somebody with some talent coming back. But I agree. I'm not sure this whole Olynyk, Sullinger, Tyler Zeller thing is going to work out.
At
And they
some
can
point you gotta
sign. Now they can, if they can entice a free agent with a max contract, they
We'll
get
see. We'll see.
they get a lottery pick, and then they can maybe entice another free agent, and all of a sudden they got a team.
I don't know. All right.
Whether he can do it or not, it's a whole other story.
Last night they were playing the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, the Atlanta Hawks who have what the best record
Yeah.
in basketball. I think I've won like 22 out of 24 games.
Yeah.
Now, it makes me think, all right, so the Atlanta Hawks could very well win the NBA championship. And I've always considered Atlanta the worst sports city in America, okay? So what would you consider the worst sports city in America right now? I had a list. I'm just going to throw this out. I have Atlanta, Cleveland,
Tampa.
any city in Florida, and Baltimore. Baltimore, okay.
Oh,
what
Minnesota's got it pretty bad right now.
Oh, you think Minnesota's no
think
bad
about it.
sports town do not support
But
their
they
team?
do support
Oh,
their
in
Yeah,
team.
do not
terms of supporting their
support
team.
their
No,
team.
then I would say Atlanta's right there. Cleveland supports their teams reasonably well.
Really?
Yeah,
For
they
what they're
still-
given to support.
I don't
Yeah.
know. They had trouble even selling out wild card games when in the last couple of years when they were in there.
In the last couple of
Yeah.
years, but remember they set all the records.
I
at
think you're right.
Jacobs
I think
Field.
Atlanta is just it's
The
a
worst.
dead zone.
Remember the Atlanta Braves,
Yeah.
where they had all those great teams over
Yeah.
the years. There'd be you'd look in the stands, right, and playoff games, World Series games, and the upper deck would be empty.
It's kind of strange because Atlanta does have enough home base
Yeah.
original Atlanteans there. You think that
Yeah, you would think.
that they would be when their teams are good, they would go to these baseball
Yeah.
games. I remember in 2004, the Red Sox great championship year. I went to the game in Atlanta, and I mean this place was totally packed. I remember Johnny Damon hit a 3-run home run.
A lot of
and
Red
mo-
Sox
and
fans
more
there,
than
though,
half
right?
the
Yeah.
fans were cheering.
Yeah.
And as we were leaving, they announced that was the biggest selling game ever at Turner Field.
Which is pathetic because
Because how many playoffs were they in,
Yeah.
right.
All the transplanted
Right.
Bostonians
Yeah.
down there.
And why
Right.
why do they have any professional teams in Florida? I mean, that's really seriously. I mean, it's
Well,
all
the Dolphins. That's a legit
No, they don't
franchise.
support, but they don't support the team at all. I mean, you watch those games,
Really?
and there's plenty of orange seats, and they're not.
They
people
they
wearing
have to
orange.
encourage people with all sorts of giveaways
Yeah.
and deals and everything.
And-
And the TVs at your seat to get them to come.
Yeah, and Baltimore, look, the Orioles. I mean, it's Red Sox South when you go down there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even have a basketball team anymore. They don't have a hockey team.
Bananas over their football team, though.
Yeah, they do well in the
Yeah,
football
yeah,
team.
they're
I
right,
don't
yeah.
think they're in
But
that.
that's why when I see it,
Well, isn't that kind of a funky area? Because can't you just sort of say, well, okay, not Baltimore, maybe
Right, the
Philadelphia
Nationals
this
and the
year. Then you
Capitals
got the
and- right.
Nationals, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
the-
that sort of too close to
I
the
think
zone
that's right.
of
Yeah, it's
too
a
many
little-
other
it's a weird
professional
Yeah, you can
sports
support
teams.
whoever's winning.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I think that's what
Right.
a lot of people do down there.
But
Yeah.
it would, look, the NBA execs sure don't want to see a Atlanta Golden State NBA.
No, they
finals,
do not want that.
But I wanted to make a point about that Atlanta team. You realize that that team, it's not a bunch of high draft picks.
It was
Only
built
Al
from the
Horford
bottom. Yeah.
is a lottery pick. The rest of them were from the
It can be
late
done.
first round and
Right.
second round.
Take your time.
So you think that's maybe a recipe
well, no,
for
geez,
moving forward?
But that does give us hope.
Right.
That all those
you got to
11
get lucky.
first round picks.
You got to
yeah.
get lucky.
Yeah.
Got to get lucky.
And a good coach.
Yeah, it's true.
He's Popovich's
Right, he's
assistant
right
for
out
Yeah.
of that.
No,
for
but-
10,
right out of
12
the same
years.
thing.
No, they look good. I mean, that would be a shock that Atlanta, I can only name like 3 players on the team would win it. But we have some time for the Bruins. It's David
Pasternak.
Pasternak's
Pasternak.
world, and
Pasternak.
we're just living in it, right?
Yeah,
Um,
he's the new young thing.
He's the youngest player not only in the NHL but the AHL. He is
Is that right?
Oh, wow.
Right. He
Well,
is-
who would have thought that the 18-year-old kid would be the key to the resurgence of the Bruins
Well,
this
wait,
year?
how old was Bobby Orr?
No, I'm talking about right now. Currently,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
talking-
Oh, present players. Okay.
I mean, it
He's
would.
too little. He's too little to
Yeah.
go a whole 82
Hey,
games.
push him as far as he can go. I mean,
Yeah.
he's making it exciting again.
Well, hopefully he sticks. We think he's going to stick. I
he'll
hope.
stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't.
He's
send
not
him.
going to
He's
get
quick
the
as a
nickname
cat. He's
Dr.
fast.
Zhivago.
Yeah.
Well, look,
Or as
we need
fast
as many
as-
stars as we can. That's what we
true.
need in sports. But that's it. That went quick.
That's
Oh
it.
my God, that was fun, guys. That was very fun.
Can I make one last prediction
that?
real quick? So one of these playoff games, they're going to throw a pass to eligible receiver Tom Brady. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead,
All
Scott.
right, there
Sorry.
you go. That's something to tune into. But thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for all the guys behind the scenes for all your great work. That's the Grandstanders for another week. My name's Scott Kerman. Have a good night.